In this production you need 4 aces, and it has to be on top since the beginning, right before you start it up. And I just did a couple false cut and false overhand shuffles, and the point is you need to keep the 4 aces on top. And the overhand shuffle, I begin it with retaining the top and the bottom. From the audience perspective, you notice the index is in the middle of the way, so they don't see I'm actually grabbing this portion also. So I still have the 4 aces on top. The next I did, it was the same overhand shuffle. I take a little chunk, exceeding the 4 aces. I'm grabbing it again. Notice I keep the break with the index finger. But as long as they don't see the top, just the front or the bottom, they don't see too much anyway. Just keep it in angle. And keep doing the overhand shuffle until you reach the break, so the aces can go back on top. I mean, if you just want to do 1 and 2, the point is you need 2 aces on top and 2 aces at the bottom. There are many other ways you can reach this setup. I'm just trying to explain the same way I did it in a performance. So when I was doing the overhand shuffle, facing down and reaping again the first portion, while I keep doing the same motion, the same rhythm, I try not to stop, because the first time you take it, let me give it face up so you can follow it better. Notice I still have the ace hiding until I reach again the top. Actually, the way I used to do it years ago, I only do the overhand shuffle by retaining the 4 aces at the bottom, and then I only do 1 and 2, and that's it. I had 2 at the bottom and 2 on top. But in this case, I was just trying to do the overhand shuffle a little bit more complicated by retaining the top portion. Once I reach the break, the 4 aces go back on top and do 1 and 2. So it doesn't look as obvious as the previous explanation. So make sure the tip of your fingers are a little bit wet. So as you can see, sometimes this is going to happen, but make sure the first tossing you don't keep 3 cards, because the problem is you don't know if this card belongs to the top or the bottom of the deck. In this case belongs to the bottom because I know there is no ace, which it should be an ace at the bottom and 1 on top. So I can do it again, keep the top and the bottom in this other hand and exposing the 4 aces. Make sure that in the first toss you don't keep 3 cards, because the problem is you don't know if this card belongs to the top or the bottom. It is an ace, but you already messed up for a second tossing. Okay, so to make sure not to get 3 cards in the first toss, sometimes I move this card a little bit to the side, just from this thumb side, but just a little bit. It's not really noticeable from the camera nor the audience, because I'm just trying to reach the deck. So it's side jogging a little bit the top and the bottom, as long as it is not perfectly square with the deck, so you can easily peel them off, the top and the bottom. Okay, I had 2 cards over here, and by doing it again I had 3 cards over here. Now the middle card, the third one, well, the middle one, it doesn't matter how many cards. Sometimes you have 5, as long as you keep the first and the last one. Whatever is in the middle, just drop it on the deck and you have the 4 aces. Now the main problem is when you have 3 cards in the first toss, in the second toss it doesn't matter, because the top and the bottom is going to be an ace. So whatever is in the middle, you can drop it over here. When I'm trying to reach the deck, I'm trying to make sure I peel it off like that, but not this much. Of course, I'm just exaggerating so you can see better. It's just a little bit. Okay, so it's not really noticeable when I'm trying to reach the deck. So when it's a little bit more on square, it's going to be better because it will assure you will get the top and the bottom. The second tossing doesn't matter. You have more than 2 cards. Whatever is in the middle from the top and the bottom, you can just drop it over here as long as you keep the 2 aces in each side. And the tossing is really easy. Just make sure your fingers, the tips, are a little bit wet. So, you see, just try to do it a little faster. Doesn't matter, I mean, if the deck, the landing is a little bit messed up, so you can produce the 4 aces. Now the next is going to be how to produce it. Instead of doing this, you know, you want to be a little bit fancy. You can just pop them up, you know, like that. There are 2 ways that I'm going to explain next. Okay, one way to do it is like that, producing the 4 aces. Or the second way, like that. Just a fancy way to pop them up. It looks nice. The way I did it in the performance, it was 1 by 1. Okay. So the way I did it in the performance, in case you like it better, let me do it with one hand, so you can just follow one. The forefinger is the only finger, is right behind the 2 cards. Then I'm pinching it against the 3rd finger to flip it over. Okay, just like that. And then the next one, which is this, I'm just doing this. I bring the middle finger and then with the index stretch it against the middle. So with both cards, bring the thumb against the forefinger so you can switch it. And that's it. That's the production I use in the performance. I mean, it looks fancy. It's not really difficult. You can do it at the same time with both hands, like that. But I did it 1 by 1. And that's it. From this view, notice I had the pinky reaching first, right behind the bottom card against the 3rd finger, and then stretch the middle against the index and bring the thumb against the pinky. That's it. Now for the second production is quite the same. The forefinger is in the back. With the thumb, peel it off as much as you can, the top card, and bring the card at the bottom, the pinky and the 3rd finger against the palm of your hand, and then the middle finger reach against the index finger and flip it over and show them up. Now for a second production, notice the forefinger is still in the back. It's the same as the first production. The 3rd and the forefinger are the one clipping the card at the bottom. Move it towards the palm of your hand. And then the middle finger comes against the index, flip both cards, and stretch index and middle finger. Using my right hand, I bring the forefinger in the back, flip it, then bend the index and the thumb so your middle finger can reach, and clip it against the index. And for a second production, that's it. The way I've been doing it, notice the 3rd and the forefinger bended against the palm, then the middle finger reach the index and stretch, so you can show up two aces and flip them up towards the audience at the same time. This is the second way, and the first way is just flipping just one and then the other one at a time.